Hey everyone, it's CL and it is almost 2 in the morning and I have no idea why inspiration always hits me around this time. And I think maybe it's because this is the time when my household is quiet and I have a little bit of time to myself. But I was noodling around with my bullet journal and I was thinking to myself that it would be a lot easier if I had like stencils that I could use over and over. And I was looking on Amazon for stencils and I seen that they were like $16 and I really couldn't justify buying a piece of plastic for $16. So I decided to try to make my own stencils just using whatever I had in my household. And in the end, I think it turned out pretty well. So I wanted to go ahead and share with you all what I came up with, and if anything, maybe my idea will give you inspiration to build upon it and make the idea even better. But if you're interested, I'm going to go ahead and change my camera angle so you can see what I use to create my stencils. So stay tuned. Alright, so now that my camera angle is changed, I can go ahead and show you what I did to create my own stencils. And the lighting isn't the greatest right now, but I think it's bright enough for you to be able to see what I'm doing. But one of the first things I did when trying to rack my brain on how I can create my own stencils, I tried to really utilize all of the things in my home that I already had. So one of the first things I did was get on the computer and I opened up my Pages document. I'm using a MacBook, so I use Pages. If you're on Microsoft Office, you would use like Microsoft Word. And all I did was fill the pages with different shapes, different little shapes that I liked. You can get the shapes off the internet and copy paste into your document, or you can, or at least, you know, with the program that I use on the MacBook, which is Pages, there is an option to just like insert shapes. So that's what I did. I just selected various shapes and arranged them like to how I would want them laid out. And for me, it's not really that big of a deal how they're laid out as long as they're on the page. But depending, you know, if you like them more organized, organize it to how you would like it for yourself. But once I selected my shapes, I now need to figure out what material that I wanted to use for a stencil. And I printed this just like on regular paper, but as you see, if you use regular paper, it's not really thick enough to be used as a stencil over and over again. So the thing that I was able to find around my home that was thick enough to use as a stencil but thin enough to run through my printer were these here. And these are notebook dividers that I've seen laying under my desk. So I thought this was like the perfect thickness to run through the printer. So what I did, because my divider that I happen to have has like this little pocket here, and I don't want this pocket, I just want this material behind it that's like this thick plastic. So I ended up cutting this off, this plastic sheet here. Now there was one step I had to take because with my printer, I don't know how to change the size. I'm sure it's really easy, but I don't want to spend time to figure out how to format it to the size that I need. So you see how I have my piece of paper here. My printer will only print this size, so I'm just going to cut off like the excess plastic so it makes it the same size so I don't have to mess with my printer. But if you are capable to like resize your printer, feel free to do that. So then I just put that flimsy plastic in my paper tray for my printer and I hit print on my computer, and this is what came out. As you can see, it printed right on the plastic. So now all I have to do is cut these shapes out, and that's going to be the hardest part, and my camera's having trouble focusing. That's going to be the hardest part, is cutting out the shapes. And I am actually going to use an X-Acto knife. Now I'm not the craftiest person, so I'm not quite sure how this will turn out. I'm kind of just doing this on the fly. But you know, as long as it gets the general shape, I'm pretty happy. And if you are a better, craftier person, I'm sure it will work out a lot better for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to cut these out, and then I will come back with the finished result. All right, so I finished cutting out my shapes and it looks like this. And sorry I didn't film it because I was handling a sharp knife and I really wanted to concentrate, and I didn't want to bother with like focusing on the camera, making sure I'm in frame, so I didn't want to cut myself essentially. But here are my shapes here, and as you see, for the most part, they came out really good, but they're not perfect, you know, they're not perfect. I did use an X-Acto knife, and I tried to use a ruler to kind of guide the blade, and also I was a little bit paranoid that I might cut myself, so I used a ruler to guide the blade, and I think it came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But one thing I didn't do, you see how I still have the oval shape? As I was cutting these out, in the end, I wasn't too confident that I'd be able to cut out this oval shape with a knife, so I opted not to do that because I was too afraid that I might slip and cut myself, so I opted out of the oval shape. But I don't know if it will bother you that it's not perfect, but if you really did want precise shapes, what you can do is use hole punches. And what I mean, here's an example of one I used. I just used like hole punches of different shapes. I used to be really into scrapbooking, so I have a lot of little punches laying around my home because for my scrapbooking phase. So I just use those punches on this plastic here, and the shapes are really precise, and I got little different shaped circles. I even have like a scallop edge that I tried, and let me show you my punches. So I just use these. Like this is like a Stampin' Up punch, but you can use any good quality punch, and I think it would be pretty good to punch through the flimsy plastic. And like this one, this is, I think I just got this at Michael's, and it's just like a scalloped edge. And let me just show you an example of how easy it is to punch out a shape on the plastic. And all I'm gonna do, and you see how easy that was to punch out. And even if you just have like those regular hole punches that are meant for paper, that will also work too. See how easy it is. So definitely try these dividers to use as like stencil material. I really like how this material turned out. So that is my spur of the moment tutorial on how to make your own bullet journal punches, and I'm sure a lot of you creative people out there can even tweak it to make it even better. But yeah, I'm really happy with how these turned out. So now I can just use my own stencils as opposed to like buying them on Amazon, which was like $16. No thank you. So these will do it for me, and I'll keep exploring. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you later.